Yeah, hit you right in this, right where it needed to.
Yeah, I did.
Wow.
A little breakfast, you know.
That'll wake you up.
I did.
Yeah. Well, welcome back to the Caribou Outdoors podcast. Tonight we have Dave from Hellcat Outdoors again, which is awesome. Welcome, sir.
Well, thank you very much.
And we are going to discuss many things. I don't, again, have a list of what we're going to talk about, which is good. So one of those things is going to be a moose hunt that you just got back from.
Yes.
Which sounds like an epic tale that we're going to hear. So why don't we get into your new setup for this year before we get into the story?
Yeah, so I'm still jumping between compound and traditional bows. Is that fair? I picked up the new Matthews earlier this year and kind of had to relearn how to shoot compound again because I've got so into instinctive shooting. And as you remember from the weekend we had at your cottage, it was a little bit of a learning curve to get back into the compound side of things. But yeah, I wanted to change it up and see what was happening. You know what I mean? Get a little extra distance that I'm used to, and just, you know what I mean? It kind of let me fall in love with the compound side of it again. And yeah, I'm sort of bouncing back right now between compound and traditional. Like, so the moose hunt was fully compound, bear was all traditional, then whitetail. Since I have multiple tags, I'm going to go for one with each. I still retire that one traditional bow. If it takes some, it's going to get fucking retired, refinished, and hung up on the wall with the Euro mount. And yeah, hopefully write a little short film about that. And that's kind of going to be my plan going forward anyway, is hopefully retiring one bow a year and just keep them sitting pretty. And I kind of want to just build that wall behind me or wherever my new space is going to be, and just build a wall of retired bows eventually.
Yeah, that's such a cool idea.
Yeah, it's a little different, but I don't know. I just think there's something cool. I think that's kind of the traditional side that I love about it, right? Like you can find some of those bows that, you know what I mean, someone picked up brand new back in, like that bear that I'm running right now is a 1957. And you know what I mean? I don't know how many animals it's taken, but it would be really cool for 2025 for it to sort of harvest its last animal, even though I really like shooting the bow. So it may retire from hunting, but I think I would maybe keep shooting it. But I don't know. I like that sort of, it's that old school feel. It's a different feel when you're in the woods, same as going through the bush and the swamps or the compound is, it's something to get used to as well. Like I couldn't believe how heavy my bow setup was just for moose hunting, and you know what I mean, doing 15 kilometers plus a day and hauling that thing around. It was a little bit of a learning curve again, but it was nice to take something with it. And yeah, it was flawless. It done exactly the job it needed to do. And yeah, maybe a lucky bow, you never know.
So with the older ones you were talking about, didn't you say you found one that had like a date scratched in it, or there was somebody been keeping track?
Yeah, so with a lot of them, they still have their serial numbers and stuff like that, like written onto the riser, as well as like your poundage and stuff like that. So I ran the numbers. I had to search through a bunch of models and dates and all that wonderful stuff. And yeah, my bow was from the bear. It's like a Kodiak Grizzly. And yeah, it's from 1957. And then just by chance, I went to pick up a bunch of bows from another guy that listed them on Marketplace. And I was just perhaps scrolling through and seeing that Buddy was getting rid of a bunch. And we got talking, and he never really hunted with anything, but he had like 7 bows that day that he was getting rid of, and the price was right. And so then he gave me a box of just random stuff he was getting rid of. And there was like a brand new pack of Fred Bear, I think they're called Razorheads.
Mm.
and they were like unopened, like pristine condition, and they're also from the 1950s, 1960s, I believe.
Damn.
They're the green that matches the bow, and I was just like, this is a sign. Like,
Give it to me.
yeah, I was just like, and I never noticed those until I got home. He said, "Oh, there's a couple broadheads in there too," and yeah, I opened it up, and there was just a whole box of tricks in there, and those came out, and I was just like, "Man, that totally speaks to the story." And I was just like, "Those are getting set up on my like traditional arrows, and that's in the quiver right now." So I'm kind of excited. I think that would be really cool to get something with like sort of those 1950s, 1960s equipment and just be like, it still works. You know what I mean? Like, doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be this year's Matthew or,
Right.
you know what I mean? This year's prime form. Like,
Right.
you can take it back a notch. And like traditional, I fell in love with a whole different side of archery. You know what I mean? Like, I think I was very bored with the compound side of it and just running reps of arrows. And
Mhm.
the traditional side, walking through the bush with it has a different feel. When you're sitting in the stand, it has a different feel. And to just be out there and know you know what I mean? You're trying to harvest an it's completely different than anything I was ever used to. And it just called to me straight away. And
Right.
it's kind of, now it's fun sort of playing back and forth because whitetail so far, I haven't walked out. I've only had like 3 sits, but it's all been with the traditional bow. And I'm just like, when am I going to feel like picking up the compound? You know what I mean? Is that going to be the day that I'm like, is that going to be the successful day? Is it like, or am I just going to bounce back and forth and see which one turns up lucky first, you know? But
Right.
I don't know. Either way, it's fun and I've really enjoyed it. And it's like, once again, like we've talked about it, like I encourage anyone to try traditional archery just to change it up. And
Oh yeah. Like I'll totally circle back to it again, and I don't see myself ever giving up on the compound unless I
oh,
securely or severely injure myself. But
yeah,
um, I'd love to do what you're doing and just kind of bounce back and forth between the two.
it's fun. Like, cause you can set it up for different species too, right? Like, I don't know, it makes hunting a little more fun, a little more like, you know what I mean? Like you sort of prejudge. Sometimes I'm like, man, where am I going to go hunt tonight? Like most of my shooting's very close and very, you know what I mean? Intimate anyway. Um, like not a lot of wide open spaces. So for the most part, traditional works, right? I really don't shoot anything that's over 15 yards away anyway. So, you know what I mean? That's kind of my wheelhouse. So, and
Mhm.
traditional seems to be becoming cool again, right? Like when I started it and sort of fell in love with it 3, maybe 4 years ago now. Um, I don't know. It was, you know what I mean? It was a very different world, right? Like you had like a lot of old guys or guys that were very picky, very form judging and everything else like that. And then over the last couple of years, like a lot of people have been switching into it, whether it's ILFs or like trad bows and freaking, you know what I mean? It's just taken a wild turn, but it seems to be cool again. So
Mhm. Mhm.
I don't know. I don't do it to be a cool kid for sure, but it
No.
is it is fun to see it coming back a little bit and being a little more mainstream, if we can
Yeah.
put it that way. And maybe more guys pick it up too, and yeah, we'll see what happens. But I'm definitely gonna bounce back and forth for as long as I can. Like I said, as long as I'm healthy and hunting, which you know what I mean. That's the reason we go to the gym.
That's
No.
right. Well, I was actually thinking about you the other day because when I was went back to the cottage and was going, I set up a couple of cameras, one of them being at the very bottom of that huge hill. And as I'm walking back up, I was like, those leg workouts are fucking paying off
Yeah,
because I could this like before I'd have to stop and go a little bit more stop, right?
yeah,
I was just trudging along like nobody's business, right?
that's it.
It's
Well, I
awesome.
remember even in that moose hunt, I done like the one morning I clocked it out and I was just scouting, trying to find any sort, you know what I mean? Scouting, calling, and I was just trying to get on moose. And that morning before lunch, I'd already done like 17 kilometers. And I'm like, man, I'm probably going to be toast for the afternoon. And then I remember I sort of fueled up, and I think I took like a 40-minute nap and got up and started walking again. And you know what I mean? Going up and down these ridges. I think the highest one was like 8,000 feet elevation. And I was like, man, the wheels feel great right now. Like I'm good. Like,
Yeah,
like it works. Like I said, I think that
totally.
being in shape for, or at least being in hunting shape, right? Like you don't need to be, you know what I mean? The stereotypical looking like a bodybuilder right there, but as long as you're
No.
in physical enough shape to do what we love to do, I think that's what's most important to me. And that's kind of why it's my reason to train, at least.
Yeah, it's kind of, you kind of have to be kind of in the middle. Like, don't be a marathon runner, but don't be just a bodybuilder either. You kind of have to have that strength, but with the cardiovascular
Yeah.
capabilities too, to be able to, not be gassed after a few
Yeah.
minutes of trudging around.
Right. Because I've definitely been there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, yeah.
No, I hear you. I think even when I met CJ and Gary, I think I was what, like 292. So
Yeah.
that was a very different me back then.
Yeah. Is you've like,
I
was
think
it like 40, 50 pounds you've lost or more?
well, I'm more now. I'm like 221.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, so leaning down, but at least my lifts are staying consistent. So that's a win. But that's yeah, it's part of the game, like I said, and I think that'll longevity wise, right? Even just trying to keep your shoulders strong, right? Like even for you back 80 pounds, like I was just doing that on cables the other day because if I'm pulling back 70, I'm like, I want to be able to do 80 at least, you know what I mean? And just have it on reps. And I was like, it does make it all makes a difference.
It doesn't, it's not as bad as what everybody is picturing though. I feel
Yeah,
like it's like even with the performance mods on, there's a little bit of a tug to it, but it's not like it's horribly painful and I can only do it 3 or 4 times and then I have to stop. Like I can still shoot like I could before.
nice.
Yeah, I think they're getting the technology is just getting that much better. Like if I was to pull up a bow from a couple of years ago that would be like 70 or 65, probably be harder to pull back than this one.
Yeah, that's right. Like,
80.
yeah, if you went back to like even a 2020 model, it's probably tougher than where they're at right now. Like the cam technology is so smooth now.
Yeah. So let's talk about that Matthews behind you there. So you picked up the Matthews Lift X?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
So pick that up. So someone had a custom order that they filled in and didn't want to pay the dollars for, which I totally understand. It's not like any of these things are cheap right now, especially and all the wonderful garbage we're going through. And yeah, me and CJ sort of walked in. We talked about it because he picked up his, and I was like, man, I could see me rocking one of those. You know what I mean? Like my bow was like a 2021, and I was like, man, maybe I just need something new to sort of rekindle that compound thing. Because I was really close to just hating having a compound. Like, you know what I mean? Like even when we went out to like the FDCC events, and I'm telling you, like the day before, I threw my bow and like just trying to sight it and stuff like that. I'm just like, this sucks. And I think, yeah, that was like my first round of arrows that I'd shot all year. And in like September, that one. And then I still took it for like last sun and bear actually. So yeah, it was one of those things. I wasn't shooting with it. I was just shooting the traditional stuff. And yeah, I kind of out of love with it. And I don't know, every year when the new bows come out, you fall in love no matter what. Every year I tell myself I need a new bow. And then this year all of them were so good. And yeah, but yeah, me and CJ sort of walked into the archery shop there, and I was like, do you have this? And he's like, yeah, I've got one right now. So he brought it out and the colors popped and it was so different. I'm just like, let me shoot that thing. I think that's the one already. And yeah, I took one shot and I couldn't believe how smooth it was and then how quiet it was. And I was just like, yeah, ring it up. Let's just get this over with. Like, cry and forget it, you know?
That's right. I'll cry in the car.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I may have.
So what's the color again? It's the gray. It's their
it's the granite color, and then
and then the earth limbs.
Yeah, earth limbs, and then then the red
string.
strings, and then the green a green string for the drop away rest, and
nice.
Yeah, and then Dialed had sent me out that granite
proof
to sort of match in with the bow too. So it was all a win overall. So everything sort of, you know what I mean? And then, then the time doing that. And then I forgot, man, you got to get different arrows, all that sort of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And then I was just like, I just decided to go wild with the colors on those two, right? Like pink, yellow, and green. Like, why not just make it a mess of colors?
Did what kind of stabilizer did you throw on there, or did you?
I ran my one off my old bow, and it's like nothing special. It's just like I think it's like dead center or something like that. It was just a complete random one. At first, I was going to get the bridge lock and all that, and I actually couldn't find one in any of the archery stores around that would like color match the bow at all, or be the right size. So I remember sort of rushing around. I'm like, man, like let me just throw the other one on, like, and try it. And I'm like, that'll do for now. So like I said, it's one of those things. It's not like you're really upgrading when you get like a different stabilizer, you know what I mean? Like they all essentially do the same thing. It just depends on what kind of look you want.
Right.
As far as I'm concerned, like, you know what I mean? Not like I've tried out a million of them, but yeah, if it changes a little bit of the stabilization in the bow, then that's a win for me.
And was it the Easton 5.0s you were shooting, or was it something else?
Like I said, Easton 5.0s, and actually cut them to match the shelf and everything this year, and shoot the correct length and all that wonderful stuff as we do. And then Broadheads, you may know a guy that helped me out with that one.
Maybe.
Maybe
that 10 was 10 minutes before you left.
Yeah, for anyone listening that doesn't know, I wanted to get my hands on the Lone Wolf arrowheads, and we could not get them across the border. They were trying since September 10th. And as I was leaving for the hunt on October 2nd, I was leaving on the Friday morning or whatever it was, and Josh had tried to send them the week before, and then Canada Post went on strike.
Yeah, so I was sent. So I was going to be testing them last year with the video, or earlier this year. I can't remember when I did it now. I think it was earlier this year.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I know what happened. So I was on the website and I clicked 125 3-pack.
Yeah.
And they were sold out. So then when I clicked 100 grain, it defaulted to a single. And I didn't notice it for some reason, and I hit purchase, and I got one in the mail. I'm like, what happened?
That's
my fault, not their fault. So they sent me one to test out, and it looked really great. And I had it here, and I don't think I got it in time for when I was filming the video. So then I just had it sitting here on my desk. I'm like, I'm gonna include it in the one I'm doing, like in a couple of weeks from now, because I now have all the other ones that showed up. And when you said you couldn't get it, I'm like, it's sitting right here. Like, I have to get that to you. So I go online, Canada Post, I fill out their thing. I purchase I have it right here. Fucking slip to send it to you.
Yeah.
And they took my money, and then they were on strike.
Yeah.
They shut down. And I was like, well, shit. Last time we tried this with some other broadheads, it took forever, and they got there too late. So fuck it. It was like a mission, right? I had to get this thing to you. So I I sent it UPS like overnight, and it showed up like 10 minutes before you left.
Yeah, it was honestly
Wow.
wild. Our car packed, everything ready to go, and I ran inside for whatever it was, and yeah, came out. Guy
Yeah,
was there.
I remember you're like, "Yeah, I gotta go," and I'm like, "It says that it's delivering it in 10 minutes, or you're the next stop," or whatever it was, right?
So it crazily worked out, and yeah, it's actually, and I actually kept the note that you wrote with it,
No,
and
did you?
kept it in my bino harness, so like my sort of moose pack chest rig, and
Something like, "Go shoot a moose with this thing."
that's exactly it. So that was it. That was my number one arrow. So it was, yeah, it was cool. So
That's awesome.
it definitely worked out. We'll put it that way. And so
So how did this whole thing come together? Because for those people that don't know, the way that our system works up here is we're now on points, and
yes,
depending on where you apply and what weapon you want and whether you want a bull or a cow or whatever, um, you could be waiting a few years or need a lot of points in order to get a tag. So how did it all play out for you this
yeah.
time?
So I had applied and I had 7 points and really wasn't expecting a whole lot to come out of the point system that way, because I know my area it's typically 25 points to require or to get a bull tag for the archery week. And one of the other guys in camp, there was four of us, and he had 16 points, and on the second draw, because we all reapplied as you do for second draw, and
Right.
luck of the draw, 16 points, pulled a bull, and then one of the other guys got a cow. So typically we only get cows up there, and then by the time you sort of rule out if they have a calf with them, then
Right.
our guys in our group aren't going to take that. And we have a lot of granny cows up there, like some old cows that single and typically don't you never really see them with calves, whether they lose them or what the deal is, or maybe they just don't get impregnated during the season or whatever the case may be. But we seem to always have two that are around there that are single. And so going up, we knew we had a bull and a cow, and it was our first time in the 5 years we'd owned the camp that it was like, hey, we got a bull tag. Like, this is game on. And I remember leading up to it, there was like 2 weeks ahead of thing. I'm reaching out to guys that are a little further north than where I was hunting up in, Algonquin area, we'll say. And guys are like, man, the cows came in the heat like 2 weeks later than normal, and it threw everything for a loop. Like, the bulls are like going right now. They're coming into calls, and that was pretty exciting knowing that. And I remember telling the guys, and the guys are always like, oh yeah, you never know. Like, we're a little further south, and I'm like, well, we're gonna find out.
Yep.
And yeah, sure enough, we did. Like I said, I'd seen 3 bulls in the first 2 days, and yeah, and it was just absolutely wild to sort of chase them and pursue them and get after them and just watch them crash through the bush and all that wonderful stuff. So yeah, we are going up there with bull tag, and that was kind of obviously our number one tag, because no one up that way, including the camp beside us, they had 12 guys, and they hadn't had a bull tag in,
12. Oh,
yeah, big. Honestly, it's not a camp. It's like not a camp is like what I would have, but it's on a beautiful little lake there that like sisters to our property, and it is like absolutely stunning. Like, you're talking, if this was a house in the normal world, it would be worth $2 million just the piece alone. Like,
chalet.
yeah, it's insane. Absolutely insane. A sauna bigger than my camp. We'll put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's pretty insane setup they've got. So they were pretty excited to see, because they had a cow tag too, and it was sort of game on. So we always kept in the loop with each other and everything else like that. We had radios on since there's no cell service. And then we put up Starlink up at camp, which was super handy for getting in touch with you guys and sort of
Mhm.
posting posts and that sort of stuff of the hunt too, which was kind of fun to do for the first time. Instead of trying to recap it at the very end. So yeah, we got out first day, sort of made sure everything was on the money, and we keep cameras up there just to sort of keep inventory sort of thing. And I remember going up and telling the guys, no one needs to worry about checking the cameras. The cameras don't mean shit at this point. Like
Mhm. Yeah,
we
yeah,
just
yeah.
we need to get out here and hunt these moose. Like we got to get onto them. We got to call. We got to do our thing, and that's pretty much the way I hunt them anyway. Whether you know what I mean. No matter what time of year we go up, like you got to get on them, sort of strategy. And yeah, the other guys weren't so keen on that at the start, but then when I was the only guy seeing moose, it was sort of changed the game for them, and everyone sort of started spreading out instead of sitting in prefabbed up wooden stands and stuff like that in locations that people had used since like the 19.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say, were you, like, spot and stalking, or were you sitting in were you moving your setup around all that's like, with your tree stand, or what were you doing?
Yeah, so I had my lone wolf on my back the whole time. So I had the .5 just so it was nice and light, and I would just I'd go across the river and get across to sort of the spots I sort of pre-scouted out and the spots that I thought were gonna hold moose. I mean, we had such a dry summer and the water level there was so low, like it was probably it's the lowest I've seen it in the 5 years that we've had it.
Mm.
And figured like if the moose are here, they're gonna be next to water, especially if there's a cow there, they're gonna be wanting to keep next to water. And number one thing was just trying to see them, right? So yeah, it was like sort of first day, it was like I put on a ton of kilometers and I bumped two cows and never had a shot. And yeah, it was a pretty cool day just to get up there and see them and be like, okay, I'm actually hunting you. And you know what I mean? I got within 55 yards and never had a shot, which was I was okay with that. And I think towards that night, I was sort of working my way back towards camp, and because everything was so dry, I got into this one swamp area. And yeah, I remember just I started calling, and all of a sudden I got a return grunt from a bull, and it was like just starting getting to like moose o'clock. You know what I mean? I'd call it
Yeah.
moose o'clock then, and I'm getting a bull to respond, and he must have been following me in because I was calling while I was out and about, and he must have came from a good distance, or he was bedded back in the very back of the swamp where I sort of got onto. And I remember getting a call on the radio, and they're like, "Hey, like someone might have got something, like we can't really tell." And as soon as I heard that, it was like, "Okay, pull out." Like they've got to be out of our sort of 3K limit range, right? So
Right, right.
like, okay, good. And then it was like, oh, it was just the area I ended up being in that was so dense that yeah, my rate like buddy was like freaking kilometer away and I couldn't hear him with between my radio and his radio because they just don't work as great up there. Even with the sort of marine radios. But yeah, so I pulled out of that spot. The bull was still grunting. All I wanted to do was get a visual, you know what I mean? And sort
Yeah,
of see
let me
first
see
bull,
it.
especially when you're calling and you're getting those responses. So I pulled out, and at the start of that day when I was doing my scouting, I started hanging some scent wicks and doing a drip bottle with like mare urine and all that sort of stuff, thinking that if I run the ridges with it and everything else, the scent's eventually going to travel, the bulls are going to get onto it, and we'll go from there, right? At least try play the odds a little better. So go there, false alarm. It was misheard over the radio. Someone had seen like another cow. So
Mm.
I was sort of a little bit mad, but it was also it would have been getting a little darker by the time this bull came in because it seemed like he just didn't want to play the game at that point.
Right.
And yeah, got in, had dinner, sort of regrouped, talked about our hunts and what we'd seen, and exchanging footage and all that wonderful stuff. And the next morning, I'm like, screw it, I'm going back to that swamp. And yeah, I got out, you know what I mean? Morning coffee, all that wonderful stuff, geared up, and I was excited to get out there. It just felt it was just a good day. Like I think it was like 4 degrees. And it was just like, okay, this feels like fall hunting. Like it's time to go. And I started walking out to get to this swamp and up on the one ridge, all of a sudden, because the leaves were so dry too, and all the maple leaves were near enough down, like I could just hear the bull grunting as I'm walking in. And I sort of return with a cow call, and I get another call back, and all of a sudden I'm hearing the leaves crunch, and it's sort of I'm like, this bull's coming down. Like
Mm.
I've got this guy on a string right now. He's coming. Like the scents worked essentially is what I'm thinking. I'm like, I've got this in the bag, and I'm just like, what am I gonna do now? You know what I mean? Like I don't know where he's coming from yet, and everything else like that. And I'm sort of just off the trail we made a few years ago, and it's like, how am I going to get my camera gear set up? How am I going to get this and that, and fumble around with all my gear? And I sort of just said, fuck it.
Yeah.
I took my stand off my back. It sort of felt very whitetail-esque, if you know what I mean. Like I was just like in the zone, and I start hanging up my set, and I went like one stick high
Mhm.
and decided that it was sort of go time. If he's coming down, I know where he's going to sort of run, and he's going to get onto this trail because I had scent down there too, and he's going to come right to the call. So yeah, I got my setup done, and I'm sort of calling back and forth to him in between as I'm setting up, and I
What's
can hear.
that what's that like? You must have been, like your heart
Oh,
must have been racing at that point,
yeah,
fumbling shit
no,
around trying to get.
trying to set up the stand and everything else like that. I was like getting shaky, and
Yeah.
remember my stand only being maybe 6, 7 feet off the ground. So I was able to reach and sort of put my bow in the hanger. And I climbed up my set, and I'm like, just start reaching for my camera gear. And I'm just like, who are you kidding?
Who
I
are
was
you
like,
kidding?
enjoy, yeah, enjoy
Yeah, enjoy it.
yourself. If the bull came down the ridge in the way I thought he would, um, the the shot was going to be available. And sure enough, I got in, I got sort of nestled in, and I was like still putting my camo, like the black camo streaks across my face. I'm just like, man, he sounds close, and I can hear him grunting and like sort of fine at the mouth, and still working his way down. And yeah, I sort of picked up my bow, looked at it, made sure everything go, and I had my already. I'm like, okay, wait, this is your time. And yeah, the bull came down. All of a sudden, all I could see was paddles, and I knew the area, and I'd sort of figured out my range was going to be between 20 to 30 yards.
Okay.
And so I had my pin set at 25 and just be like, we'll deal with it from there. And
Yeah.
yeah, he broke the brush and the alders and came right out. And I think where I measured him from where I shot and where the arrow it drew blood was 27 yards. So it's sort of everything came into play that way. And I'm like, man, I was on the money with this. But yeah, I seen paddles. I done one more little just soft little like cow call, and he took 3 more steps forward, and everything was clear shooting. And I was just like, here, like, you know what I mean? This is the moment, like broadside, you know what I mean? I thought he was 30 yards, and yeah, pulled back, and everything just sort of settled in, and let that arrow go, and heard that sort of hollow pumpkin sound. And his front feet sort of bucked up off the ground a little bit, and sort of he made a bit of a scuffle. And I was just like, oh my god, I smoked him. And at this point, I wasn't really too sure on what bull it was, because we got a few giants in the area. and I thought it was the biggest bull in the area. And at first glance, right? I sort of just took a glance at the paddles, realized it was legal, and yeah, the arrow went, hit him, and he just sort of stood there for around 10 seconds. And just as I started, you know what I mean? Everything came into play. I'm like, I should knock another arrow right now. I should hammer a second one in him. Like, I know that shot was good. Like, I was able to see my arrow hit it. It's a perfect shot. Like, you know what I mean? I couldn't have been blessed with a better shot or release. And yeah, I started trying to fumble around, grab my next arrow out of the quiver, and then he sort of started walking, and 30 yards later from where the shot happened, he just crumpled down to the ground, and I was just
Done.
like, yeah, I was just, you know what I mean? Like, breath taken away. I started shaking and like tearing up, and I was just like, oh my God, I smoked my first bull. And at this point, I still didn't know if it was the big bull or what bull it was, but I was like, it didn't matter. Like,
No.
being sort of 7 feet off the ground and seeing how big these animals are, once you really get that close, is a different feeling to begin with. And knowing that he only went 30 yards and then crumbled, yeah, that was an experience all in itself. I never really, you know what I mean? I sort of sat there in the stand quiet for about 5 minutes and sort of heard the last breath. And yeah, I'd done my whole
Wow.
emotion thing. Like, I cry every time. It doesn't matter what the animal. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just a crier that way, right? Like, I made that choice and let that arrow go. And you know what I mean? That, to me, you sort of have to go through that. You know what I mean? You have to pay for that moment. And
Hmm.
I remember I just sort of got down from my stand, left the bow there, and I'm like, I'm not even going to bother him right yet. So I get back to camp, and the other guys are a little later getting out than me. And I remember walking back, and the guys are like, "Oh, what did he forget?" And you know what I mean? Sort of. And I was just like, I just smoked the bowl, guys. And you know what I mean? So we're hooting and hollering and, high fiving and hugging it out. And I was just like,
You're
give it,
still shaking from the adrenaline, probably.
yeah, right. Like, it hadn't really settled in yet. Like, I was still sort of in that shock stage. And I was just like, give it half an hour, then let me get out to him and I'll radio you guys like when I'm ready.
Yeah.
So
Give me a minute.
yeah, so it was good. Like, I got to have some breakfast, an extra cup of coffee with some Baileys in it, say at
Right
this
on.
point. And yeah, I remember I walked out there, walked past my sort of setup and seen my bow still sitting there, and I went and checked out the spot where I knew I let the arrow go and seen the blood, and there was actually very little blood. Just like it seemed to settle in the body
In
cavity.
the cavity, yeah.
Yeah, so at first I'm like, I'm glad I knew where you know what I mean, like where he got off to. Like, if he would have hauled ass, and you know what I mean,
Right,
like
yeah.
on that death run, I was like, this could have been tougher. There may have also been a lot more blood at that point, but I think because he just sort of stood there and then just walked off, and seeing that their hide is so absorbent anyway, it definitely soaked up a lot of blood. And yeah, walked up on him, sort of had the camera on record at that point as I walked up on him, and yeah, got my hands on him and just couldn't believe it, the sort of size of the animal and everything else like that, and took my time and sort of ran over him and you know what I mean, checked out everything that I could on him, and then radioed the boys when I sort of had my moment. And yeah, then the hoot and hollering began, and the boys were all excited. The other camp flew over because they were
Oh, nice.
they just wanted to see it and everything. And
Yeah.
got him, get him out of the bush. And yeah, 1,100 pounds was a lot heavier than I thought it was going to be.
Is that how much it weighed? Did you
Yeah,
weigh it?
yeah,
Oh.
yeah. We got it weighed at the butcher, so 1,100
Woo!
pounds ended up in 39 inches. I didn't really count the points. That was something CJ asked me after. He's like, I hate to be
Oh,
a
yeah.
I hate to be
Being
a how many points did you have? And I'm like, points.
points.
Oh yeah, I guess this would be a thing. So he sort of ran it over. He's like, dude, he said, that's a that's a great bull. And he said, especially for a first bull. And
Oh yeah.
I was like, at this point, it could have been anything. Like, and it was a bull I'd never had hit a camera over there, and he sort of must have just been out cruising and picked up that scent. As far as I'm going to tell myself in my mind, I'm going to tell myself the scent worked, and
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
and I want to tell myself it was that bull that I was calling in the evening before, and
Yeah. Very well could have been.
yeah, like you never know. You
Yeah.
could have stuck around, or it could have been another bull that came in after. You just never know. And yeah, that was that. So it made quite the adventure of a day. By time we got him out, taken out, and then two of the other guys from camp. Like we were supposed to have, it was supposed to feel like 28 degrees that day. So we knew it was going to be too warm to sort of hang them on the poles and everything else like that. So they were like, there's a butcher up in like a town down from us, which is still, by the time you get there, it's an hour drive just to, by the time you get out of camp and then get to the next town.
Yeah.
And they met up with the guy, and yeah, he had him pretty much stripped down and ready to go and hung up in a immaculate freezer setup. So he was hung up, and I remember the guys getting back around 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I was sort of, in between messaging you guys and, in pro staff teams and all that wonderful stuff. And, like I don't post the grip and grins, but I sort of post like the more romanticized side of it. And, then, you know what I mean? When people reach out, then I'll send them the sort of the grip and grin, if you will, and be like, yeah, that was it. And so it was cool to have service that way, to sort of
Yeah.
have that experience. And then, you know what I mean? We talked, the boys talked in the chats, and then, you know what I mean? The guys from Lone Wolf were messaging and all
Pretty
that.
happy.
Yeah. So it ended up being the first moose that was ever taken with one of those Lone Wolf arrowheads. And I remember
Woo! All right.
it was pretty awesome. So I just remember, like I said, I got to that animal and sort of took out your note and had that moment with it. And I'm just like,
That's amazing.
he set me up for a win.
Fucking
And,
oath.
uh, yeah, it was pretty wild. So I sort of kept everything in my diary and everything, and how I felt, like sort of how the morning played out. And I didn't really know, even when I was talking to you guys, they were like, how does it feel? And everything else like that. And I'm like, man, I don't really know. I haven't put it into words yet. And
Yeah.
I remember the guys had got back, and we were sort of making up some breakfast and still celebrating a little bit. A couple of the boys were getting into the pops, and I was like, well, we still got a cow tag, man. Now it's still game time. Like, we got to get out there. And they were like, well, we've been drinking. We're not playing that game tonight. We're just going to take it in. I'm like, you guys do that. I'm getting right back out there. And,
Just want to take a quick break to talk to you about a couple of things that I've been using that I think might benefit you. One is this Numa Outdoors gear. This is in their Kaza OV pattern, which is great whitetail pattern when you're up in a tree in the fall and late season. They also have a Kaza pattern which has more green in it, which is good for spring through to the fall. Numa has given me a code to give to you of Caribou Media 20, which will save you 20% at checkout. Another product here that I've been using for years now is the Bulldog targets. This is a Canadian made target. They're made in Manitoba. They have a lifetime warranty. I've used that warranty twice now on a couple of my larger targets that are outside. It's very simple, very easy. These targets are 2-finger removal every single time, which is incredible. Field point only target. Bulldog's been gracious enough to give me a 20% discount code to give to you at checkout. Use code BD20-Caribou-Media. That'll save you 20% on these awesome targets. Now back to the show.
that was it. And then I think I went out by 3 o'clock, and by 3:30, I near enough got ran over by a bull.
Oh,
Yeah, I went out and I called out to this in between a spot I called the Twin Lakes, and there's like a little finger channel that sort of runs between them of land. And I always sort of used that. I was like, man, this has just got to be, you know what I mean? This is just a travel corridor in between these two things and a pinch point and all that wonderful stuff. And I'm like, this is going to hold moose. So yeah, I sort of got out there. I called for me. I think I called twice in 8 minutes, and I was
Wow.
walking out, and I was pretty clumsy. Like it was like I was clumsy coming out, and I could remember that my clothes, like my gear, all still smelled like a bull moose from me gutting.
Yeah.
I never really thought too much about it, and all of a sudden I hear one twig break. I sort of look behind me, like, what is that? And all I seen was paddles down, like nose on the ground, and just charging forward.
Charging.
The poor Matthews went for a spin. I
Yeah.
threw that to the left side because I was carrying it with my left hand. I just sort of threw it and dove to the side. And
I was gonna
man,
say you didn't have it across your shoulders, did you?
no,
Looking
no,
like you had antlers yourself.
yeah. So I remember diving off to my left side, and man, the bull must have missed me by about 6 feet. And all I could feel was like I'm rolling, but I could still feel every one of his footsteps as he went by. Like he just shook the ground. And I
Yeah,
remember sort of rolling over, looking, and I could just see his hind end and his chest and his back, and he's sort of spinning around and sort of trying to get a good look at me. And I remember I stood up and I'm like, well, my bow's over there. I'm like, I was just like, fuck it. I don't have a tag for this guy. So I'm like, I'm just going to see how this plays out. And
yeah,
I looked at him like, man, he is a big bull. And it made a big difference being on the ground this time as opposed to sort of 7 feet up.
for sure.
He's looking at me and peeking through the trees, and sort of he's got one eye on me and trying to figure me out. And I gave him a little bull grunt and sort of challenged him in a way. And he came running out, and I was just like, whoa, I had my phone out at this point and I'm just like recording. And yeah, it got pretty crazy. Like he came in about 3 or 4 times, and I was just like, man, I got some really solid footage. And then he sort of started walking in, sort of swaying side to side, and he got within 10 yards at one point. And I'm looking and I'm like, all right, this is a really big animal, and he does not seem to be happy with me right now. And I was just like, it's probably time to shoo him off. And I remember I started talking to him. Usually that'll bump them off sort of thing. And he
Right.
just sort of stayed there, and I'm looking, and he's just sort of giving me this crazy eye and this swagger. I'm just like, this thing wants to fuck me up right now. I was just like,
Yeah,
like a bull moose.
yeah,
And there's no doubt in my mind there's got to be some sort of cow scent on me from spreading cow urine. And I'm just like, this is not a good spot for me to be in right now. And
you're a target.
that's exactly it. And I was like, he's already not happy with me at this point. And yeah, I had to yell at him before he ran away. And I started walking out, and I'm like, I'm just going to get back to a little closer to the canoe. You know what I mean? And started working my way out. I'm like, maybe I'll just go look for a cow. And yeah, I remember watching him run up a ridge that was, you know what I mean? It would take you or me like 5 to 8 minutes to get up this ridge. Like it's steep. And this bull just ran up it like nothing.
Oh yeah, it's amazing
Yeah,
the
it just
area they can
un
cover, like just a stride, you know.
yeah, that's it. Like it was absolutely nothing. He didn't even think about it, just went up the ridge. And I remember he got so far and I couldn't really see him, but I could hear him. Still, he was grunting away. And I start walking out on the trail we made, and I gave one call, and boom, he blasted right back down the ridge. And then he's at like 40 yards of me again. And I'm sort of looking at my position. I'm like, this is the only open run between me and the canoe right now. And I was stupid. Like this guy already wants to kill me. And I'm like, and I just called him in. And I'm sort of looking at him. He's looking at me. I sort of yelled at him again, and he sort of turned around and sort of done a little boogie away, and then kept turning around and looking at me. I'm like, that's enough for today. So I ended up calling that hunt at like whatever it was, like 4 in the afternoon by the time I got to the canoe. And I was like, yeah, that's enough party for today. And got out of there. And then, yeah, I think the next morning got out again and called in another. I was up in the stand at this point. I got out at dark, set up a spot like on a spot I call like the Hellhole Ridge. It's just an absolute nightmare to get in there and get over it. But yeah, I got in and same thing again. Like I called and within like sort of 5, 6 minutes, I just get a response and I'm less like, this is insane. It sort of just lit that fire under me. I was like, all I want to do for the rest of my life is chase bulls.
Yeah,
The,
you're the
where,
moose whisperer now.
yeah, and that's it. It was sort of my buddies were sort of me about like having zins in my pouch and always having zins on the go. And I was just messing around with my phone at this point, like, and I'd sort of just laughed and I was just like, oh, this is how you call in a Canadian moose, like right at like, you know what I mean? First light. And maybe it actually must have been like a little after that because the sun was up. And yeah, I was like, this is how you call in a moose. And I sort of stuffed in 2 zins in my upper lip. And I was like, then you just hit him with the moose whistle, just being a dick. And
Sure enough.
I remember I sort of sent it and I just put down the call and it was like I was sort of settled in and just hear ooh, and I'm just like, are you kidding me
Yeah.
right now? And I sort of stood up and I'm like, here we go again. And I call back and get another response. And yeah, he was there in no time. And then we spent sort of 15 minutes together where he just came right in, like gave me an 8-yard broadside shot sort of thing again. And he was a younger bull, but he was so like melanistic and black. And I
Mhm.
was sitting there in awe just watching him, and he had no idea where I was because I was maybe 10 feet high and pretty unsuspecting spot, I would say.
Right.
And yeah, he came right in 8 yards, and I remember just sitting there and taking it all in. I was like, this is unreal. Just watching them and watching them slobber and call and like they were fired up, and it couldn't have been any better experience just to take that in. And like he went behind me at one point, sort of at 10 yards, and I'm sort of like doing selfies with this bull in the background, and he's sort of just still looking around. And then I start calling to him as another bull, and he's spinning around and looking and trying to figure it all out. And eventually I just start talking to him, and he sort of shoos away and does his thing. And I got to watch him sort of just work his way through the browse and, you know what I mean, curl his lips back and take leaves off the trees and stuff like that. And I'm just like, that for me, like those 3 experiences alone in that trip made everything. I mean, one alone's amazing, but yeah, I felt pretty blessed. And then the hunt for the cow began. And yeah, I started hunting them like I would whitetail, you know what I mean? Just boots on the ground, like I gotta find out where they're at before you can, you know what I mean? Like you can't hunt what's not there. And yeah, I was going through valleys and ridges and calling and eventually came up on another cow and I called her and I had her within 50 yards and she was still behind a little bit of stuff. So I was trying to work my way through to the left to get a broadside shot. And I'm just like, there's no way this is gonna happen. And sure enough, a bull pops up behind me and he just gives me a massive grunt and then like sort of near enough wheezes at me like what a doe or a buck would do, like sort of gave me like some sort of snort wheeze and then just took off. But yeah, he came right up the ridge behind me and I didn't even hear him, which was wild because I don't know if it was I was so focused on the cow, but just absolutely silent.
Mm. Yeah, it's amazing how quiet they can be
Dude,
with
it
their
was
size.
yeah, especially yeah, exactly. The size, the weight, the size of the hoofs on them and everything. But yeah, then the cow took off and I was just like, oh well, you know what I mean? That was a cool experience. And then we sort of seen the valley she took off through and I radioed through. I'm like to my one buddy, I'm like, man, you're gonna have her within sort of like 15 minutes. You're like, you know what I mean? Like I know how far away you are, and you're like within sort of 600 yards right now. And I was like, she's gonna come right through there. And he got to watch her for 2 hours
Oh, wow.
just work her way through. And he didn't really practice calling or anything else like that. So he just watched her do her thing and then he watched her sort of go over the ridge and all that wonderful stuff. And I'm like, okay. So I went out the next afternoon, and sure enough, she was there, and it was a bull with her, and yeah, there was no chance of really calling either of them in. So I watched from my spot, and the other guy that was there that eventually did get her, he watched her again for another sort of 10 minutes. And we were just like, I remember getting back to camp and we sort of met up and we're like, that was insane.
Yeah.
Just to sit there and be able to watch them like that and take it all in. And yeah, I think it was the very next day she ended up being that same spot. And Matt had worked himself into a really good spot and still never had a clean shot at her. And it was yeah, I think it was that afternoon or that evening, because I got back to camp and I remember just like getting there and Matt's radio went off and I couldn't really understand what he was saying. And I'm like, look, man, I'm gonna be back at camp here. Like, put your phone on satellite and just send me a message. Like, because he was like near enough whispering, and I'm just like, is he locked in somewhere? Is he okay? And he's just like, I shot the cow like 20 minutes ago. He said it was like, you know what I mean? Like, he was like 18 minutes before like legal light was over and everything else like that. He said, I watched her for like 40 minutes and she sort of went down that same valley, came in, and he said, I lost her. And then she all of a sudden came back and started working right towards him in a spot we'd sort of talked about, like him setting up. And he had a 50-yard broadside shot and he made an absolute stellar shot, like beautiful shot on this cow. And she only went 40 yards and piled up. And when like he was trying to radio me to be like, hey, like I got the cow and leave me for like an hour. He said, come in here in an hour. Like, and so, yeah, of course, the guys wanted to rush out straight away. And I'm like, no, this is the message I got. It's right here,
Yeah.
black and like,
Yeah.
give the guy his time. If you know what I mean? Like, he lost sight of her and thought she may have went like down the valley again. And she may have been wherever, but ended up like we got there. And, you know what I mean? We're all geared up to track blood, and we got up over this ridge where he shot her on, and she was right there just on the other side of the ridge, maybe
Oh wow.
like 5 yards from where the edge of the ridge was. So she sort of, you know what I mean, got shot, ran 40, and then yeah, that was her. She was down as well. So that tagged us out. And yeah,
Wild.
what a just a crazy experience, you know what I mean? Like, it just felt like I was hunting like a big whitetail, and it was sort of fun to hunt them like whitetail instead of,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, the typical way to go. And so the stars aligned, we'll put it that way.
Were
Like,
were the other guys bow hunting too?
yeah, everyone was bow hunting, so it
Oh,
was
sweet.
archery season there. I mean,
Oh, right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
so it was cool. And I think it's rifle starting up this weekend. Is that right? I know a couple of the guys are going out
Yeah. I
like
think so.
tomorrow. I think they're leaving to get up there for Saturday morning, sort of thing. So that'll be the start of rifle week, and you know what I mean. Like,
Do you know what
no,
broadhead? Do you know what broadhead he was using?
I think he was using like a very standard, like sort of 3 blade
Three
setup.
blade. Yeah.
I think it was just something like some sort of muzzy or something like that. And but yeah, man, shot placement all the way. You know what I
Oh yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Doesn't
Well,
doesn't matter the distance or what it's going to be. If you make the right shot and you make a nice clean shot, like you put it in that boiler room and it's game over.
just that photo you sent of you holding the heart, just how big it was. It's like, oh man, it just
Dude,
puts
that
it.
was insane in itself.
Holy shit,
I was
man.
so used to like whitetail and bear and sort of gutting them out, and you know what I mean, sort of reaping the rewards. Even when I got my hands on the liver and sort of cutting the liver out, and I was just like, what the hell is this thing? Like, this is bigger than like the liver itself's like you know what I mean? Like, you could fit it right on your chest and it would still be bigger. And but yeah, I remember cutting out the heart and being like, oh boys, like this is gonna be so good. And it was just massive. Like I remember walking out with it and being like, this is like a, you know what I mean? Like this is a solid like 6-7 pounds. And I
Oh
remember
yeah,
having to walk it back to camp and being like, all right, this is actually pretty heavy, man.
this is
Like,
a meal.
yeah, that's exactly it, right? Like, man, the three steaks I got out of it were just freaking monstrous.
Yeah,
And yeah, but what an experience, like said, like I said, it definitely lit a fire under me where like moose hunting became like a really close second to whitetail for me. And yeah, I wanted to do it for the rest of my life. Where yeah, exactly wherever I gotta go, I wanna chase bulls. Like what an experience.
yeah, yeah. I wore this shirt on purpose just for you.
Yeah, I you know I nearly wore the same nearly the same one. That would have been cute.
The old dialed moose shirt. Yeah.
Yeah, you're sure. That was actually did I have that on that day? I
Oh,
wore yeah,
likely.
it may have been on me that day, but I still had like my Numa gear over top of me and man, even just
Yep.
washing
Right.
money in that gear, like the
Yeah.
time
Let's. We should talk about that a bit too. What were you wearing out there? Do you remember?
um I had
Did you get the merino hoodie? I love that thing.
no, I didn't get the merino. I knew it was going to be too warm
Oh
for
right.
ripping that out there, especially like with the warm temperatures. It wasn't really gonna. We didn't see rain until the sort of third or fourth night we were there, and man, we got a bucket load of rain. Like it absolutely filled my canoe to dump out the next morning. And but yeah, it was so I had just the lighter hoodie. I guess it was like I think it's the Renegade hoodie, the one with the
Oh
logo
yeah, yeah, yeah,
on it.
yeah.
Yeah, and super nice, super light, like especially for then. Like I remember the one evening there, it was like 26 degrees, and by the time I climbed up to the one ridge, I was down to just like pants and a t-shirt. And of course I'm wearing like a bright pink t-shirt. And I'm just like, yeah, this is moose hunting. I'm in a pink t-shirt. Like, here we go. And, and yeah, so nice light Renegade hoodie. And I think it was the Pursuit pants I was wearing from
Okay.
New. And I went through some thick shit. We'll put it that way. By the time you're climbing through alders and freaking raspberry bushes and all that sort of stuff, I'm like, oh, I'm ripping this stuff to shreds, but which is good. I mean, that means you're hunting as far as
Yeah.
I'm concerned. Like your gear can't come in, you know what I mean? Can't come back nice and clean.
No.
But yeah, the gear held up once again, like even for moose, not just whitetail. So very happy with that. And yeah,
It-
all the blood stains came out of it, which was unreal. Like just with regular, like you know what I mean, non-scented detergent. So
nice.
I was pretty pumped for that. But yeah, I remember rinsing the gear off, and I was like, oh my, you know what I mean? Like, oh my god, like how much blood is on me right now? You know what I mean? Every time you gut an animal that size, let alone two of them, and like sort of hang them and all that wonderful stuff. So
Were you in your Crocs?
at camp, I was in Crocs. I think I went scouting the one morning in the Crocs, so they came back to me. Um,
You
but
gotta
yeah,
get sponsored by Crocs.
oh, dude, if I could get sponsored by Zen and Crocs,
Crocs. Yeah.
uh, I would be set for life at this point. Yeah,
Hellcat Outdoors edition camo.
oh, man, even give me my own flavor of Zens or something. Like,
Oh yeah, in a
yeah,
camo can. Yeah.
it was terrible. I was going through like a container a day and just being like, I am way
Oh,
I was way over my nicotine level at all times. But you know what I mean? The time you have your breakfast in, your after coffees in, like walking out's in, like it was a whole experience in itself. And but yeah, it was good. All the gear held up. The bow freaking worked great. And the only thing that wasn't adding up is the you know what I mean? The bear barrel wasn't providing, you know what I mean? Like I
oh yeah.
sow with 3 cubs and she was steady coming in there and you know what I mean? Like sow with a cub anyways, a no-fly zone for me, let alone the season
Scary.
and take a
Yeah.
sow. So that was maybe the only disappointment of the trip, you know what I mean? Or maybe the fact that it couldn't have went a little longer. Like I never wanted to come back to work again. Like just let me hunt full time.
Yeah,
But that was, yeah, what an experience.
that's amazing. Yeah,
So
I knew as I was writing that thing, I'm like, this is like this is just gonna be part of the cool story. It's gonna work. He's totally gonna get one and he's gonna get it with this, and it's gonna be awesome.
dude, I was so, I mean, maybe gear wise and everything, I was so prepared that way. And you know what I mean? Like I went through that whole thing, and same thing as I go through for like whitetail season and stuff, where I'm like all into the, you know what I mean, manifesting it and sort of being like, it's going to happen. Like, there's no way it's not going to happen. You're going to have your opportunity. And, you know what I mean, sort of believing in it all. So, the fact that it all worked out that way and the way it happens, it was wild. Like, and just being able to record so much and being able to sort of get enough footage to do like a sort of short film and all that stuff, that made it really special too. Like something to, not that you're ever going to forget it, but a lot of stuff gets lost in translation. And I
Yeah,
figured
keeping it around forever
that's it,
that
right?
way.
Like, that's for anyone that records like yourself or sort of documents it. Like I keep everything. I always carry like in my chest pack. I usually bring like a pen and paper, like a little notepad. And then when I get back to camp every night, I sort of, you know what I mean? Like I document everything and sort of temperatures, wind direction, all that sort of stuff. What I seen, what, you know what I mean? Any close calls or any encounters, like fuck ups on my part. Like I sort of do that all because that's what I do for whitetail anyway, right? Like, so I sort of, you know what I mean? I sort of just kicked in my sort of whitetail senses, and you know what I mean? There was no like, there was no way to really track them because the leaves were so dry, and you know what I mean, there was nothing really making a scuffle out there, so you there was no difference between like a track that was 10 days old or 10 minutes old, you know what I
Yeah,
mean, the way the weather was and how dry it was. So yeah, sort of just on my hunt treated it a little more whitetailish. And yeah, obviously a horny bull is going to come in no matter what, and they're going to be on that search. So yeah, no complaints. Like other than the fact that I can't do this every day of the year. Like,
I know.
but
You said you have 7 points?
yeah, so I'll be going into the season with 8 points. So I know obviously if we apply
We'll
further
have to go.
north,
Yeah, we'll have to go for a trek, but why not? That'll be even more fun.
yeah, that's what I mean. Little camping, little TP tent camping with a
Yep.
little stove and just getting out there. You know what I mean? Like I want to get as many of those hunts in for the rest of my life. Like, you know what I mean? Especially with the point system up there, like you know what I mean? You may get one of those hunts in your lifetime. And now that I'm close to 40, I'm just like, you know what I mean? How many of those do you got?
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
that's all of the part for it. And I'm just like, now if I got to travel to do this, I'm gonna travel. And you know what I mean? How far you're gonna travel is gonna be up to, you know what I mean? Me, us, like whatever we choose to do. So
Yeah.
it's what a, yeah, what an experience though. Like,
It's
you know what I
wild.
mean? So like when you were out west, like hunting elk and stuff like that, like you can't, unless you're there, like you can watch it on TV all you want. You can think it's awesome, or you'd be like, man, I don't know what I would do if I actually heard it. And until it's really happening around you, it's,
Yeah.
I mean,
It's
like
just
there's no comparison.
no comparison. I was just gonna say there's no comparison. Like when you're face to face right in the thick of it and experiencing it, it's just wild.
Yeah, and just honestly, I think over that week between say both camps, there was like 20 moose sightings.
Wow.
You know what I mean? With the majority of them being bulls, which is just crazy. So like
On the move.
I've went up there seasons where you've just been chasing sign and everything else like that, and maybe seeing like one moose, and then to go up there and have 20 sightings in 1 week. And man, I think I had the most encounters of a single guy, and just the amount of time I had around the bulls was insane for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like it made everything to me and made me sort of fall in love with it, right? Like it was sort of something I was like, man, I love Moose Week and everything else like that. But until you really get that close and really get to see how, you know what I mean, how wild these things are, and you know what I mean, you're unicorns out there. They can be there 1 minute and gone the next. And yeah, it was cool to just share that experience and take it all in and document it, you know?
Yeah, that's awesome. I bumped a cow last year, and you don't really realize how big they are until you're
No,
like
that's
face to face with them, and then they just like
yeah, they're
they
gone.
take a couple of steps, and you're like, "Whoa, they're like gone."
Yeah,
Just
they
no
hit
time.
they hit one ridge or one valley or hit the swamp, and they just absolutely disappear. And you know what I mean? It's
Just cover incredible ground like it's
yeah,
nothing. Yeah.
and that's it. So to be able to get that close and all that sort of stuff and share that sort of time and that moment with them, I was one very humbled at the size. And even when that one bull sort of tried to run me down, like, you know what I mean? I remember standing there shaking and trying to record footage and being like, "Oh, this is all going to be unusable." And you know what I mean? Trying to catch my breath and just realize I'm like, man, my legs are gone right now. Like this thing is absolutely massive and it does not like me.
Yeah.
So makes you feel small real quick. That's for sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Doesn't matter who you are or what you are out there.
no, no, you're definitely bottom of the food chain unless you've got the right, you know what I mean? The right wits about you and the right you know what I mean? One, the right tag, and two, the right equipment at your side to be able to handle it. So
So are you still focusing on black bear now, or when do you fully switch to whitetail, or do you kind of go back and forth?
may sneak up for one more black bear hunt, or I may say screw it. Like whitetail's been pretty slow, but everyone's been
Yeah.
saying, you know what I mean? All my buddies have been sending me pictures the last sort of 2 days now with the temp drop and that little cold front that happened. So it seems like whitetails are about to blow my mind again because I done a stupid amount of kilometers this week to all my spots that usually provide and have sort of sign. And I remember getting back and I was still like trying to get the hang of it again, get back into whitetail mode. And um, yeah, I was just like, there's no sign anywhere. Like one of my buddies messaged me and he put on like 15 kilometers that day and found one scrape that, you know what I mean? It looked like someone may have fell over there. You know what I mean? Like if it wasn't under some good branches and some good cover, I wouldn't have even believed it was a scrape. So
Yeah.
it'll be fun to get on them again and see sort of what bucks are turning up with the doe groups and stuff like that now, and sort of see which one's gonna make me you know what I mean, go balls to the wall and try to figure him out on his game, right? So these animals have got to make mistakes at some point. You just got to be there.
Oh yeah. Oh, we didn't talk about how did the arrow make out with that?
The
I'm assuming
arrow, complete pass through. Broadhead done exactly what it was supposed to do. I can't believe how sharp it was after.
oh yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
there's always something I sort of check to see about dulling and everything else like that. And yeah, clean pass through. The arrow survived. Like it's still, I think it's set up in my quiver right now in the car. And yeah, I sort of just washed it off after getting like sort of footage and all that sort of stuff and the sort of the pictures for all our sort of ambassador stuff and whatever, you know, the stuff you got to do. And yeah, arrow was fine. All the flexions were fine. Like I couldn't
Oh
believe
nice.
how the arrow made out. So all systems go on that one. That one's going to be, it's sort of ready for whitetail now.
Yeah, the
And
broadhead's cool because it's kind of got a very subtle scoop to
yeah,
like
dude.
explain to like the back, kind of the back mid to the back of the of each blade. It kind of curves in a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. And I
They
know,
took some material out, almost like yeah, it's pretty
yeah,
cool.
it like pushes through. So I remember first getting my hands on it and being like, holy shit, like one, this thing's sharp as hell.
Yeah,
Two, like I was just like, it's a really cool piece compared to a lot of the fixed blades we have. And like I said, I remember shooting like single bevels and all the rest of it. And then obviously getting my hand on that. And yeah, it's definitely one I'll be switching to. I think I'll be getting the 125s in. Obviously, I had to order them through another guy in the States, and he's going to send them private right now just so I get them in. And
yeah, they're back in stock now.
yeah,
I just
and
ordered some too, properly this time.
that's I ordered the three packs instead. So yeah,
Yeah,
I think that's going to be my go-to for moving forward, especially for compounds. And then I'd really like to try it on a trad setup and see how it works. But I
yeah,
want to retire another bow first. But yeah, we'll see how that plays out. You never know how whitetail season is going to go.
yeah. I was worried because it came in like a little plastic, like for those that remember when you used to buy film for a camera, it'd come with like this little cylinder tube with a lid that just pops shut. And I was like, if this thing pops open, it's gonna fuck up the delivery guy real bad because I want to sharpen this.
Yeah, yeah,
I
no,
tried to tape the shit out of it, but I was like, I don't know. This is gonna
yeah,
be interesting.
yeah, definitely interesting. But yeah, like I said, it done its job. I actually wish I got more pictures of the sort of entrance and exit wounds, but I was sort of taken in the moment where, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
forget a lot of the stuff. That's why I write a lot of the things down that I sort of want to capture, you know what I mean? Like after the harvest and all that sort of stuff, because you're in a different mindset, everything else like that. You're taking
yeah.
in well at that point.
And time's ticking. You want to make sure you get it taken care of. And
Yeah, exactly. Because
did you guys drag it out of there, or how'd you get it out?
once it was gutted, um, we originally thought we were going to quarter it up and everything else like that. But one of the guys from the other camp had a moose buggy and a four wheeler. So
Oh, sweet.
I only had to get it dragged out about 25, 30 yards maybe. And as a whole moose, other
Well,
like
yeah,
being
easier
gutted,
said than done. Yeah,
man, it's a lot of animal to move around. So that part of it was an experience in itself. But yeah, once loaded in the moose buggy and sort of winched on, that made life super easy. So, and then we done the same for the cow. Actually, like she went the same route. She had a little further to go to get her to the buggy, but it was still what a that was a magical piece to have up there.
do you
'Cause-
have the rack? Are you doing anything with that, or what
Yeah.
happened there?
So the heads, I took the head, and like I said, by the time that got back, now it's sort of bathing in some water right now, and then it's gonna get. I think I may do it this weekend. I'm gonna see what the whitetail situation is, and then I'll probably start boiling that down and just do a Euro mount with
Yeah,
it. And
that looks sick.
yeah, it might hang up behind me here for a hot minute, and then eventually it's gonna go up to the hunt camp and
Right.
live its days up there.
That's
And
good.
yeah, just to keep it fun. Like I don't know, I've got enough stuff on
Stories to tell. Stories to tell, right?
exactly that. So I'll print off a few of the better pictures, and you know what I mean, and put them with it and sort of leave it up there at camp. So you know what I mean, something to remember up there. Like, and then yeah, I think I'll get some of the pictures printed and just sort of hang them out in the podcast room, and you
Cool.
know, live it that way. But it'll hang out here for a little bit. I just need to figure out what wall it might go on. Like I might have to take some stuff down here and get him fitted up, and you know what I mean. Let him enjoy the winter at least with us.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
mm,
That's
yeah,
awesome.
but
Amazing.
yes, it was. It was definitely something, and yeah, it feels weird to say you're already on to the next hunt after something like that, but
Yeah.
you are. And You know what I mean? Even the way we're already looking at like sort of next year's hunt or what we want to put our tags in for and see what we can get and pull and yeah.
It always feels like a short window.
Oh,
Fall shows up faster than we think, and then it's over.
like even the winter, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my god, in like 2 months it's gonna be like, you know what I mean? I can get after turkey and spring bear, and then all of a sudden you're, oh my god, I haven't got any bait out, or you're like, man, I haven't even scouted the fields for turkeys, and all of a
Yeah,
sudden like season's the next day and it's opener, and you're like, here we go.
creeps up. Yeah,
Yeah, even for this one, like, yeah, I remember, and it was sort of that 2 month away mark, and all of a sudden I'm chasing all my gear, trying to get everything sort of dialed in, and being like, here we are again.
yeah,
I don't know if I'll ever be that guy that's fully dialed in, ready to go, and you know what I mean. Just have to pack my gear up. Like, there's always new equipment. There's always something different that you're changing. So,
yeah,
what do you do?
yeah. Did you use that mystery ranch bag at all?
I did. It was with me there on the pack out, and
How'd that work out?
dude, honestly, it's been great. I've been using that to even lug in bear bait and stuff like that, right? Like
Yeah,
I was throwing 120 pounds on it, like, you know what I mean, in it, and then strapping onto it and walking. I think I was 4 kilometers to camp, and then I knew another 2 kilometers by the time I got it all loaded into the boat and or into the canoe and across river and where I was baiting. So it was doing a couple good 6K trips just even for bear bait, and then
pop up
yeah,
40. Love that bag. It's really good. Yeah,
it performed really well. I actually couldn't believe how, you know what I mean, how much you can actually fit in the damn thing, and you know what I mean, like, comfortable once it's weighted too.
yeah, yeah.
Like, it distributes the weight really good. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you already know I'm very minimalist for to begin with, so I was kind of worried about carrying a backpack and stuff like that. But by the time I was having like my jet boil and all that sort of stuff in, so I could have a coffee or a tea midday, or you know what I mean, heat something up to eat. Um, yeah, it carried all my stuff and light, held the weight well, and yeah,
Sweet.
I might turn into a little bit of a pack guy. You know what I mean? Maybe too, really too far from any of my locations, but any real hunt or anything where I've got to go in, it's going to be a go-to for sure.
Nice. Awesome. Well, we both have to work in the morning, so we should probably shut this down.
Yeah, that 2:30 a.m. alarm is going to go
Oh,
off
shit.
pretty soon. You know what I mean? As
Well,
always.
thank you for coming on here and telling your amazing story. I appreciate it. That's awesome.
Thanks for having me on.
For those that don't know, let everybody know how they can find you.
I keep everything pretty simple right now. I'm sort of down to just two socials. So Hellcat Outdoors at either Instagram, and then anything I do that's sort of short film based or informative is going to be on the YouTube channel under Hellcat Outdoors as well. And that's it. Or, you know what I mean? You can find me on Facebook, but I never use it.
I know, me neither.
Like, old technology.
That's right.
But yeah, that's it, man.
Awesome. All right. Well, good luck with the rest of your season. I'm sure we'll be coming
Well,
back down here to talk
be
about it.
daily texting and calling.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. All right. Enjoy the rest of your night. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, brother. Thank you.